Alright, still with Big Red Liquors, and I'm here with another installment of Crazy About Chianti. Today we're going to talk about some Chianti Classico and their different designations. First, we're going to talk about some Sangiovese. Sangiovese is a high-acid red grape. The better the acidity, the better the food, and therefore that makes it make sense in Italian wine culture. It has lovely flavors of red and dark cherry, some tobacco, some purple flowers. It has kind of a medium tannic structure. Now, the Brunello's down south near Montalcino, that is a different clone of Chianti. That is the Sangiovese Grosso, and so those actually age a little bit longer, but I mean, who wants to wait? So that's why Chianti Classico is so great. Now, Chianti Classico separated from the Chianti region in 1996. They were kind of fed up with, all of the producers kind of making subpar Chianti as they thought. And what makes Chianti Classico so special is the Albarnese soils, which is actually the same soil that it's kind of a white sandstony soil that they grow sherry in. And also the Galestro soils, which is very schisty based, and as they say in Porto, it's the schist that makes the wine so great. It's also the same kind of soil that's a slaty soil, the same kind of soil that makes the Mosel in Germany so great. So this is a very special region, and they kind of wanted to separate themselves from the rest of Chianti. What we have here is a normal Chianti Classico. So this is, they call this the Annata, but you never see that on a label. And what it just means is just a vintage Chianti Classico. Here we go. Once again, the lighting. This is the Ricasoli. I actually have another episode about the Ricasoli family. This is one of the oldest wineries in Chianti. And actually Baron Ricasoli came up with the modernization, the modern recipe for Chianti, which is kind of neat, and it involved 2 white grapes. They no longer allow that in Chianti Classico, oddly enough. So to be a Chianti Classico, it has to be at least 80% Sangiovese, with the other 20% being indigenous varieties. It can either be Cagnololo, which is an indigenous red grape, an original red grape to Chianti and Tuscany, or it can be some international varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah. However, they only allow 15% Cabernet Sauvignon, so there's that whole thing. One of the reasons why they decided to allow international varieties in was during one of the floods of Florence. All of the nurseries were flooded, and then all of the names of the clones of grapes kind of got messed up, and so people were planting international varieties that they didn't know about. And once we have DNA technology and could identify that, they were like, oh, well, this makes my wine better, so we should allow it. And because, Italian winemakers like to complain about laws and break laws and then create new ones, that's kind of what happened. So anyways, this is the Broglio Chianti Classico, a really great example of a Chianti Classico. Just delicious, and this is just a really, really solid year. Next, we have the Chianti Classico Riserva. Here we go. So what makes this a Riserva, or reserve, is that it has aged for at least 2 years, and at least 3 years in the bottle. Another interesting note, I guess I should say, is that they don't have any barrel requirements for the Riserva. You could barrel age this in a bottle for 2 years. However, many don't. They actually use barriques, which are smaller oak barrels. But yeah, found that to be fascinating. And I'll be honest, when researching for all of this to make sure I'm not, blowing smoke and making stuff up for you, information about Chianti wine laws is almost impossible to verify. So this is the best I could do. I've tried to verify it with at least 2 sources, everything I'm saying. And then, so the next designation would be the Gran Selezione, which actually came about in 2014. And ironically enough, it was a really awful year, so a lot of people didn't make 2014 Gran Seleziones. However, we do have them now. They were kind of just released. They do have to be aged for 30 months. Once again, no barrel requirement, but it does have to be in the bottle for at least 3 months before releasing. Those are really great and kind of brand new to the market. So yeah, I don't know if we've got any on our shelves. Actually, no, we don't have. Well, no, I don't have any on our shelves. I haven't bought any for our shelves, but once I come across one that I really enjoy, I will let you guys know. And then the last but not least is the IGT. So this is really interesting. So they kind of came up with this kind of the IGT, or indication typioning or graphic typica. I'm not Italian, so I can't really speak it. So we just call it IGT. And what I thought was really funny was one of the wine teachers I had told us this funny story about a master somm saying, well, basically it just means I'm gonna tax ya. So it was a category created actually for the super Tuscans. So when the winemakers in Bulgaria were kind of frustrated with the regulations of Chianti being that you can only have these 4 grapes, they started putting other international varieties in there, like Cabernet and Merlot. And they were really great, and they were getting all this money because they were these delicious wines. And so the government's like, hey, we want that money. We're going to create a whole new taxation and less restrictive category to make, it's not quite a table wine, but it's not quite a Chianti. So it's somewhere in between and let you guys kind of experiment. So this actually is an IGT that is from Chianti Rufina. So if you've seen other previous episodes of Crazy About Chianti, Castello Trebio, we had the Chianti Superiore from them. This is the De Pazzi, and this is 60% Sangiovese, 20% Syrah, and 20% Merlot. That's 100%, right? Anyway, so that is not a Chianti, but it's made in Chianti. But it's just a different expression of the land and the wine, and just gives them different options to use different winemaking techniques. The designations really kind of dictate how much money they're probably going to be. Well, IGT won't give you a very good indication, and well, that's not true. So if you have something that's like a Tignello or a Sassicaia, those are going to be really expensive, and rightfully so. There's not a lot of it made, and it's really delicious. However, I mean, this is also something that's maybe not in the most inexpensive category, but it's definitely a really great expression that's just different than a Chianti. Reservas usually are a little bit more money. They're usually about $25 to $30. And then the Chianti Classicos, depending on your producer, this one is about $20, but you can go anywhere from like 10 to like 25, I guess, for just a basic Chianti Classico. Well, I hope this helps. I hope this helps demystify the Italian wine labeling dilemma, because they're always very confusing. But really, I just love talking about Chianti, and I got to open one today, so I'm really excited. Well, I hope everyone is doing well. I miss you guys. I can't wait to do some wine tastings. I can't wait to hear some feedback in person. I can only imagine. And yeah, just chin, keep your chins up, and we'll see you on the other side of this.